Welcome to English 9, Judging the Validity of the Evidence Lesson 2, Part 2, Quarter 3, Week 7. I am Mr. Nalpran Sambalod and I'm your teacher for this course. Look at that image. It has a heart, a brain, and a bulb. What could be the relation of that image to our discussion for this week? Let's find out as we go through with the lecture. Maybe you're wondering why I have there the image of SpongeBob. Actually, I intentionally put that image because SpongeBob reminds me of our enabling competency for this week. So, before we discuss the enabling competency, what is the most essential learning competency for this week? We have judge the validity of the evidence lesson 2. For the enabling competency, recognize faulty logic, unsupported facts, and emotional appeal. So I decided to have there the image of SpongeBob because he reminds me of his faulty logic whenever he has his conversation with his friends, as well as the unsupported facts, the statements that he's delivering in the show. And of course, the emotional appeal lines of SpongeBob whenever talking to his friends Patrick, Mr. Squidward, and of course the squirrel, and as well as talking to Mr. Krabs. Okay, so that image of SpongeBob alone will remind you of our lesson dealing with recognizing faulty logic and supported facts and emotional appeal. In everything you do and say, you have to be wise. You should choose whether it is something to believe or not. In this kind of situation, your critical thinking will really be tested as you determine the worth of every idea or argument being said and heard. If in the part 1 you were asked to become active listeners, this time you are being asked to become critical thinkers because as you make yourselves critical thinkers, the more you can determine the worth of every idea or argument being said and heard from materials you listen to or from the people around you. So, just like that image, you should open your mind, you should activate your mental faculties for you to be able to judge the validity of evidences presented in the materials listened to. Okay, so let's go on. Read the following Bible thoughts. Each presents one's idea or argument. Answer the questions that follow. So you have the first Bible thought. My friend Eliza didn't attend Ella's party last night. She doesn't really like Ella. Number two, watch this movie. For sure you will like it, the way I do. Number three, my teacher accepted my output even if it's already a week late. She's the most considerate teacher in school. So let's process the bubble thoughts as we proceed in answering the questions that follow. Questions to think about. Number one, in which statement or claim are you most convinced? Is it the first bubble thought, the second bubble thought, or the third bubble thought? Your answer is third bubble thought, the one that talks about the girl whose touch of the consideration extended by the teacher to her, even though she submitted her output weeks late. So, why it sounded more convincing or the most convincing out of the three arguments in the bubble thoughts? So, what makes the statement convincing? It is what? It is for the reason that you were able to relate to the idea presented in the Bible thought. You were able to recall a memory or an experience of yours where your teacher also extended consideration on you when you were late on submitting your outputs to him or her. Okay. And of course, your touch of the action made by the teacher. Number three, study the given concepts below, then decide which among the three statements falls under each. Letter A. Faulty logic is a kind of persuasive technique used when making statements with imperfect reasoning or in the absence of sound judgment. So, in the three Bible thoughts, which do you think Paul under or falls under faulty logic? Is it Bible thought 1, 2, or 3? So, you are correct. It's the first Bible thought talking about that girl who was not able to attend the birthday party of her friend, and that girl assumed that the reason why she didn't attend the birthday party because she didn't like the other girl. So there's something wrong with the result or with the effect in the second thought or this in the second sentence in the bubble thought. So there's faulty reasoning in it. Okay, so we will have the first bubble thought under faulty logic. Letter B. Unsupported fact is not upheld by evidence or fact, making the claim unsubstantiated or unconfirmed. So which between the remaining bubble thoughts? So it would be the second bubble thought, talking about the guy who watched a movie and saying that definitely that movie will be liked also by others. So why it is under unsupported fact? Because he just said there that he liked the movie, then others would be liking it too, without providing reasons that will be convincing more others to watch that movie. So you have the unsupported fact. And letter C, emotional appeal, is a method of persuasion appealing to both the brain and the heart, primarily tending to obtain an emotional reaction. So, of course, we have there the remaining bubble thought featuring the student who's weeks late already on submitting his or her output, but still the teacher accepted it, and according to the person, that teacher is the most considerate teacher in school. So you have there what you have there the emotional appeal. You have there the emotional appeal to the teacher, pointing out that she's the most convincing teacher in school. Okay, so we have their faulty logic and supported fact and emotional appeal. So what is fallacy? Faulty logic, unsupported facts, and emotional appeal are types of fallacy. The question now is, what is fallacy? Fallacy, a mistaken belief, especially one based on unsound argument. So whenever you read written text or you listen to materials or to people, then you try to deal with the ideas they are presenting in their sentence and try to identify whether they are communicating fallacies. And after figuring out that they are talking about a mistaken belief or a statement containing unsound argument, then the next thing to do is to classify or categorize what kind of fallacy that statement or the statement false. Is it faulty logic, unsupported fact, or emotional appeal? So the more you will be understanding what is fallacy and what are the three types of fallacy as we go through with the next activities. Okay? So hold on. We'll have the next slide. A fallacy is the use of invalid or faulty reasoning in the construction of an argument by appearing to be better than it really is. A fallacious argument may be misleading. Fallacies may be committed intentionally or unintentionally to manipulate or persuade by deception. So, the good thing about knowing what is fallacy is that it will be working on your side, wherein you will be benefited from it, especially if you would be persuading someone to believe on your claim or on your argument. So you can make use of the faulty logic, of the unsupported fact, or the emotional appeal. So usually it's the emotional appeal that is being used because it what? It really deceives the listeners whenever it is used because of course it's the brain and the heart being attacked by that fallacy. So as if you tend to become emotional that your judgment becomes unsound. Okay, so for you to agree on what I have said, let's study the given examples for each type of fallacy. Let's have the faulty logic. Since you attended the teatro at Galaw ng Tayabas dance workshop, you will be a great dancer than your sister. So look at the effect. You have their cause and effect. The cause is what? You attended the teatro at Galaw ng Tayabas dance workshop. Then the effect, you will be a great dancer than your sister. Is it really the effect of that cause? So if it sounds debatable, if it sounds unsound, then there's something wrong with the logic of the statement. That's why that example falls under faulty logic. Next, we have the unsupported facts. Lukbanins are friendlier than Tayabenses. Then that's it. It sounds like an opinion or it's an opinion. So whenever you deal with an opinion, then where are you going to categorize a statement containing an opinion in it? That will be under unsupported facts because we do not have there the facts that will be proving that the Lukbanins are friendlier than Tayabenses. Okay? So it's easy. Now it's easy to understand what is unsupported facts. Now let's have the third type of fallacies. We have the emotional appeal. In a fast food commercial, the store manager is sharing her journey as an employee of the company for the past 20 years. Then at the last part of the video, she says, I can't think of a job more fulfilling than this. So you have there what? You have there the activation or the attack to your brain because you are being guided, directed, dealing with what is being presented to you, the scenario. Then later on, you have the emotional attack wherein you get touched, you feel emotional, dealing with the content of the statement. So if that is the situation, then that statement is an example or having the so-called emotional appeal, just like that example sentence. Okay? So let's continue. Learning task 1. Identify the type of fallacy, faulty logic, unsupported facts, emotional appeal applied in the given company taglines below. Write your answers in a piece of paper. So remember, the use of fallacy has something to do with manipulating people's mind or the so-called deception. Okay, as what was said earlier on the definition of what is a fallacy. So you have here the fallacies may be committed intentionally or unintentionally to manipulate or persuade by deception. So the good thing dealing with this activity is that whenever you see a tagline of a certain brand, then you can judge the validity of the evidence presented or from the materials listened to. Okay? So, as you hear a commercial of a certain brand and you hear about its tagline, you can always judge the validity of it. Okay? If it's really what? Acceptable or if it's really what? Valid that they have that tagline or maybe they are just what? Making use of fallacies. Okay? So, number one, super asin talaga, Dato Pete. So what is the answer? Is it faulty logic, unsupported fact, or emotional appeal? So we have there unsupported facts because we do not know if Dato Puti is super asin talaga. So we do not have their facts that will be proving how asin Dato Puti is. Okay? Number two, tides in, dirts out by tide. So what kind of fallacy, what type of fallacy is that? It is faulty logic. Okay, correct. Why faulty logic? You have their cause and effect. Tides in is the cause and the dirts out is the effect. So, is it really true that whenever tide comes in, then the dirts will be out, will be ousted? Okay, so faulty logic. Number three, you're not you when you're hungry. Sneakers. So What's the answer? You have their cause and effect. You have their cause and effect. You're not you when you're hungry. So that is what? Cause and effect. So there's what? Faulty logic again. Because it's not really true that what? That whenever you are hungry, then you are not you. Okay? So let's have number four. Things go better with Coke. So what is the type of fallacy? That is unsupported facts. Yes, we can never find out if really things go better with Coke because we do not have the evidences that will be supporting the claim. Okay, number five, masarap kahit walang sauce by Chicks to Go. So what type of fallacy is used in that statement? That is what? Again, that is unsupported facts. Okay, we can never tell. We will never know unless facts will be supported that will be convincing us the more that even though walang sauce, then chooks to go is really delicious. Okay, number six. A bank with a heart for every Filipino. Veterans Bank. So that is what? Emotional appeal. So as if you're a Filipino, then you will be hearing that commercial as if you are being convinced to save money in that bank because it is being said there that what? It's a bank with a heart for you. So that's emotional appeal, okay? Number seven, wala pa ring tatalo sa Alaska. So that is what? That statement falls under unsupported facts because we do not have evidences there that will prove that there's nothing or no one can beat Alaska. Okay? And then the last number. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard by MasterCard. So, what is the type of policy? We have faulty logic. Okay? It's faulty logic because what? The reasoning is what? It's not acceptable. There's something wrong with the reasoning because there are some things money can't buy. And imagine it's MasterCard that can buy those things that money can't buy. So there's what? Faulty. Now there's a lapse in it. So faulty logic for number eight. Okay? So then with learning task one. Learning task 2. Let us test your critical thinking skill in determining the worth of ideas. Read the following statements on the table below. Check the box opposite to each statement to identify whether it is a logic and supported facts or emotional appeal. Number 1. I argued with Mrs. Bam before I turned in my homework so I got a bad grade on my paper. So that is faulty logic. Number two, a teenager argues against the family's vacation plans and the mother responds by saying, when you pay the bills, you can make the decisions. That is faulty logic again. Number three, after making it clear that key values employees' loyalty, a supervisor asked for volunteers to help fellow supervisors move on the weekend. So the statement uses emotional appeal. Okay, number four, exercising makes you feel good. That falls under unsupported facts. And last number, I know why you failed all your classes last semester. You don't study. That is what? Faulty logic. You have their cause and effect. So that's faulty logic. Okay? Done with learning task 2. Let's proceed to learning task 3. Learning task 3. People are part of the natural world and everything is connected. Watch a music video from a popular romantic tragic play, Romeo and Juliet. If you have internet connection, you may access the given link. So I hope you will watch it. It's quite relaxing watching that 4-minute video of the tragic play, Romeo and Juliet. And as you watch it, you have there already the important happenings in Romeo and Juliet, and in just 4 minutes you will be familiarized on what is Romeo and Juliet. Okay, So as you watch it, do not forget the activity. Describe one scene from the video that presents each of the following: faulty logic, unsupported facts, and emotional appeal. Okay? So note, for those who do not have internet connection, study the photo gallery lifted from the music video and do the assigned activities. So we will be discussing the photo gallery. Okay? So let's go on. Now let's have the gallery photo of Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. Scene 1. Romeo and Juliet saw each other for the first time at the feast in the Capulet's house and fell in love with each other. Scene 2. Romeo overheard Juliet at the balcony admitting her love for him, then they decided to get married. Scene 3. Friar Lawrence agreed to marry Romeo and Juliet secretly, hoping that if the two get married, the Montague and Capulet would end their family's feud. Scene number 4. Tybalt, the cousin of Juliet, confronted Romeo for his sneak to the Capulet's face. Mercutio, Romeo's friend, defended him but was unfortunately killed by Tybalt. Romeo took revenge and killed Tybalt. Scene number 5. Juliet felt upset for what Romeo did to Tybalt. Romeo tried to kill himself for the crime he committed. Scene number 6 or photo 6. The prince ordered Romeo to leave Verona and warned that he would be executed if he returns. Before he left, he spent the night with her wife, Juliet. Photo number 7. Juliet didn't want to do the arranged marriage with Paris, so she decided to drink the drug given by Prior Lawrence that could put her to sleep and pretended to be dead on the wedding day. Scene number 8 or photo number 8. The messenger wasn't able to reach Romeo to tell Juliet's plan. So Romeo believed that Juliet was already dead. Being sad, he bought a poison, went to Juliet's tomb, and poisoned himself. Photo number 9. Juliet woke up from a deep sleep and saw Romeo's dead body. Disappointed and grieving, she stabbed herself with a dagger, which ended her life. And the last scene or last photo, due to the death of Romeo and Juliet, the two families, Capulet and Montague, agreed that they should end their feud. So we have here again Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. I already told you about its summary in the part 1. And by this time, I do believe that the more you are aware of the play Romeo and Juliet, because aside from going through the details of Romeo and Juliet coming from the photo gallery, I do believe that you spent time watching the music video that really made you that really made you that familiar on the story of Romeo and Juliet. Let's proceed dealing with the activity. Let's have the task under Learning Task 3. Describe one scene from the video that presents each of the following. So faulty logic, we can have there the last part, the last image. After the death of Romeo and Juliet, the Montague and Capulet decided to end the family feud. So there's faulty logic in it. Okay? So the cause, the death of Romeo and Juliet, then the effect, the the settlement of the feud between the Montague and the Capulet. Another possible answer is when Juliet woke up and she noticed that Romeo was dead already beside her, she also killed herself. So there's faulty logic in it, okay? And if you watch the music video, you have there what? When Romeo touched Juliet's hand, then the following day they got married. So faulty logic, okay? Number two, unsupported facts. For the unsupported facts, you have their Friar Lawrence believed that if he would be marrying Romeo and Juliet, then the feud between the Montague and the Capulets will come to an end. So that's for unsupported facts. For emotional appeal, you have their Juliet begging Prior Lawrence to help her for she doesn't want to marry Paris. Okay, so that would be all for learning task 3, and I hope that I can read other answers in the Google Classroom dealing with this activity. So you do not make use of my examples in the Google Classroom. You formulate your own. Okay, let's proceed. Learning task 4. Write your own example of arguments which contain fallacy. We have again faulty logic, unsupported facts, and emotional appeal. You provide two examples each, two statement sentences containing each fallacy. So I advise you to write your own, but you can also do further reading for you to be able to have good examples for faulty logic, unsupported facts, and emotional appeal. It's okay with me if you will be doing research for possible examples or examples for each policy. Anyway, they're still learning in it as you do the research, okay? Do not just make use of the given examples already or given sentences for each policy, okay? So you may do researching for this activity. Okay? Check your Google Classroom for the activity form link, okay? Let's set the next slide. Let's have the key learnings for this week's lesson. Fallacy. There are three types of fallacy. Faulty logic, having fault or imperfect logic, imperfect reason or unsound judgment. Unsupported facts, not sustained or maintained by verifiable truth, not supported by proven evidence. Emotional appeal, designed to create an emotional response, arouse emotion of an audience to move them to act. Important reminder. It is important to recognize the fallacy in an argument and critically determine the type used, such as faulty logic, unsupported facts, and emotional appeal, so that we can identify what to believe or not and state our reasons why we have come up with the decision made. And of course, knowing about fallacies and the types of fallacies, the more you can judge the validity of evidences in materials listened to or in the ideas listened to from the people around you. Okay? So that would be all for the key learnings for this week's lesson. Let's have the assessment part of our lesson. Identify the type of fallacy used in the given statements below. Write FL if it's apologetic, UF if it's unsupported facts, and EA for emotional appeal. Write your answer in a piece of paper. Number 1. Everyone wants to get married someday. A good self-concept is important in attracting a husband or wife. Therefore, everyone should develop a good self-concept. What kind of fallacy is used in the sentence? We have FL, faulty logic. Number 2, students who take physics instead of earth science are studious and hardworking. Susie took physics instead of earth science. She should receive an academic distinction. Again, it is faulty logic. Number 3, I love that movie we saw last night starring Daniel Padilla. I am going to rent all of his movies and I am sure I like all of them. The answer is again, it's faulty logic. Number 4, science shows that the earth is billions of years old. Science shows that the earth is billions of years old. Is it FL, UF, or EA? The correct answer is UF, unsupported facts. Number 5, there must be objective rights and wrongs in the universe. If not, how can you possibly say that torturing babies for fun could ever be right? That statement uses emotional appeal. Okay, number 7. Number 6, rather. As mayor, my top priority will be improving education. So my first act of office will be to cut funding for our public school. So look at that sentence. As mayor, my top priority will be improving education. But the effect you have there during his first office, he will be cutting funds for public schools. So, number 6 is obviously faulty logic. Number 7, I know why you failed in English in the previous quarters. You don't study. That is faulty logic again. Then, And number eight, I met a little boy with cancer who lived just 20 miles from a power line who looked into my eyes and said in his weak voice, please do whatever you can so that other kids won't have to go through what I am going through. And the answer is emotional appeal. Okay, so done with the assessment part of our lesson. Let's have the reflection part of our lesson. Write your personal insights about this lesson and types of fallacy using the prompts below. Number one, the part of the lesson which leads me in the mastery of the topic is the provision of example sentences or statements per fallacy. Number two, I need more assistance in doing the task dealing with Romeo and Juliet photo gallery or music video because I have to put into words the ideas containing the three types of fallacies in the sentences that I'll be presenting. I'll be formulating. Number three, I realized that I could apply the things I learned in this lesson when, of course, judging the validity of evidences from materials listened to, and of course, on determining the worth of ideas presented to me by the people whom I'm talking or from materials that I'm listening to. So I can always determine whether they are making use of fallacies, they are just trying to convince me or persuade me. Okay? So then with the reflection part, of course, I would like you to write your own answers for this activity. Check for our Google Classroom. Look for the Google form link, okay? Thank you. Have a good day and God bless us all.